Hey guys, how is it going? Not too long ago last week, Capcom released another Devil May Cry trailer, this one prominently featuring V and his abilities. Alongside that, we got a glimpse of Dante and what appears to be his ultimate Devil Trigger form. And I gotta say guys, I am pumped for this game. With the playable demo out now, only available to Xbox users, I am counting the days until I can play this game myself. Until then, I have to keep myself occupied, so today I am going to be doing some stencils of the CG faces released by Capcom of the heroes, both Dante and Nero. Now I know what you're thinking, what about V? Well, not V. I don't trust that guy.
Alright, first things first. This is a stencil, so we're going to need some spray paint at some point, but we're far from that, so don't worry about it just yet. First thing you're going to need is a canvas. In this case, I'm making 2 paintings, so I'll need 2 canvases. I'm choosing a square canvas because it'll come out looking a lot nicer like an avatar. The dimensions of this canvas are 12 by 12 inches or 30.4 by 30.4 centimeters. You'll need a paintbrush, preferably a thicker one to cover more area when painting. You'll also need smaller paint brushes for little touch-ups at the end. Some paint. I just happen to have some leftover black paint, so I'll be using that. Also, this was a long project, so I'll be speeding up the footage. Alright, it's time to start painting. Cover your entire canvas with a layer of paint. Depending on the quality of the paint, you may have to do more than one layer. But this is a decent paint, so I only need to do it once over. After the front of your canvas is done drying, do all 4 of the sides. When you're done, make sure you have somewhere to lay it down so it doesn't touch the immediate surface of whatever you're going to lie it on. I just used some random pieces of scrap and let it dry. Repeat this process for your second canvas. Now we're ready to start cutting out our stencil. Basically just tracing over the lines that I've already made using an X-Acto knife. I got pretty detailed when drawing this, so I don't mind not being 100% accurate when cutting it out. Otherwise, it's going to take forever to get all the details perfect. So just do your best to follow along with what you've drawn out. If you want to try this at home, I'll leave a link to my DeviantArt page with a close-up of the final product. There you can try to trace out the image and do it on your own. When you separate the pieces, make sure you don't lose anything, because some of these pieces will be used when spray painting the stencil, like the eyes and the ears. Now, on to Dante. Dante was a lot harder, given that he has his beard stubble and the long, stringy hair. But it's Dante, so I put a lot of care into making him come out nice. He has a lot more details than Nero, mainly because of his longer hair, which means there'll be a lot more separate details on the outside of the main part of the face. And voila! The 2 parts of the face that will not be used in the painting process. However, don't throw them out. They'll come in handy to help you place all the pieces in order before you spray it down. Next up, start placing your stencil pieces on the dried canvas. This is definitely a part that requires a lot of patience, given you want to be as accurate as possible. Use whatever tools you can to inch everything into place. I had a pair of tweezers that really helped me out a lot. Use that extra piece to make sure that everything fits into place perfectly. Begin weighing down the edges of the stencil with various small items. A common thing to use are nuts, bolts, and possibly some very thin nails as well. Once you're done, bring it outside and spray on a coat of flat spray paint. You don't want to use a glossy spray paint. It really doesn't work well and leaves an ugly shine. Also, I've got to stress this, always spray paint outside. Trust me on this one. One time I did it indoors with the windows open, thinking that would be enough, and the place stunk for an entire day, even with the air venting through. And I'm telling you, spray paint does not smell good. Let alone, it'll probably give you a headache. Now, while we wait for Nero to dry up, let's finish Dante and give him some beard stubble. I'm going to do this on a separate sheet, because I'm going to be painting this part black. This is particularly tough because it's just little holes, so you may have to shave off a bit with the X-Acto knife. Find whatever technique works best for you. Now that Nero's dry, let's see how he turned out. Remove all the pieces slowly. Make sure that when you peel off the paper, you don't rip off any of the paint. Just smoothly go around the edges, slowly, and strip off the paper gently. At first, I used tweezers, but then I figured out a cool technique using a piece of paper like floss. Not bad looking. Not bad looking at all. On to Dante, same deal. Lay down the weights along the edges using whatever you have. Again, he has a lot more detail, so it'll be harder to weigh down all these thinner parts. Luckily, I have some thick wire from a previous project. If you've seen my DMC neon sign video, you know what I'm talking about. This stuff is great because you can bend it into whatever shape you need, and it carries a little bit of weight, at least enough to keep paper down for those tricky spots. Once again, bring it outside and give it a layer of spray paint. Again, I only use flat spray paint. I don't trust gloss or satin. I put a lid on top of the box this time because it's very cold out, and I don't want the paint to freeze. I didn't film it, but I gave Dante a second layer of spray paint just to make sure everything got an even coat of paint. Once it's dry, bring it in and remove all the pieces. Start peeling off the paper. It looks good, but let's give Dante a little more stubble. I'll tape this down because I'll go over it with a paintbrush. Just lightly dab where all the holes are. Quickly, but gently, remove the paper. It looks a little darker at first, but it'll dry out in a minute. Back to Nero, I'm gonna give him a little more detail. I'll grab a small paintbrush with a fine tip. If you don't have much money, just buy some paintbrushes from the dollar store and cut the brush so it has a fine tip. Now give Nero a little more detail in the eyes so it pops a bit more. Same with the hair, I'll give it a little more definition. Also on the side, I'll give him a bit of a hairline. Now, since I gave up on that nose when I was spray painting, I'll just put it on manually now. Bit by bit, add little pieces of detail, as little or as much as you'd like. And back to Dante. Again, with his long hair, I'm going to give him strands randomly that come out to emphasize the hair. Same deal, as little or as much as you want. Once you're satisfied with the extra details, you'll notice that the side of the canvas may have gotten a little spray paint on it, so go ahead and do another layer of black on the sides. Go ahead and finish up any final details. And we're done here. Here's our final result.
Alright guys, that is it for today. I am super happy with how these came out. They look really good. One thing I would do differently if I had to do it again is this little spot up here on Nero. I'd probably just go ahead and paint that blue as well. But other than that, these guys are definitely going up on the wall. They look amazing. If you like what I'm doing here, comment down below and let me know what you'd like to see me do next. Otherwise, have a good one and I'll see you on the next video.